Yes, good morning, everyone. In the previous class, we started discussing this while loops. This while loop, the syntax that we have seen, the condition statement after that, do you have to write followed by the set of commands. After that, finally, the ending with the keyword called done. In the same way, there is a for loop. One more looping statement. This for looping statement, the for is also a repetitive structure which you already know. The syntax, it is almost very similar to the while itself. Instead of the condition expression we write, here we write for, then the variable the variable which gets the value from the list. The in is a keyword, will get value one by one to this variable from this list. Then do is a keyword, set of commands, whatever you want, you can write. Then finally ending with a keyword called done. If you see the syntax, it is not so clear. With the example, if you see, then it will be very clear. See, we already know this dollar path, this dollar home. See, echo dollar path. If says this is an environment variable, many softwares will use the address from this variable, and also dollar home, the root home address. I will get these values one by one from these variables, and I'll store it in a variable called var, and then I'll print. This is what the syntax. For, this is an variable, in is a keyword. Yeah, you can differentiate with the color itself. Dollar path, dollar home, these are the inbuilt variables which contains the list of values, this value and another value. One by one it will come to this variable and you print this. As simple as that. In order to execute sh for example 1.sh, see, you can see the two outputs. One is the dollar path output, another one is dollar home. If you just write a single variable dollar home itself, you can see only one output, dollar root. Or else if you write only a dollar path itself, you can see only output of the dollar path. The dollar path, it is not a user defined variable, it's an inbuilt variable. Is it clear? For the variable list, say this is an for each loop that you have seen in the Python or the other languages. In the Python, it is same. For the variable, in will be the keyword and this will be the list. This list, it will give one by one to this variable, and do and done you have to write within that set of commands. See, here I have used echo command. That here we have used the list with a set of variables. Instead of that, I'll write a command there. That command output, that will give the values to the variable. See here, there is a file called string and.sh. See, this is a program which I have written. This program, that will be the file name, it is given to the command called cat. What actually the cat will do? It will print the content, cat string and.sh. If I enter, it will print the content of that file. Now instead of that, what I'll do, that command I have written in terms of, in the place of list. See, since this is a command, you have to write it within the quotes. Within the quotes you have to write, then only it will execute. Now I'll execute that sh string and not string, sorry, I want to execute for example 2.sh. See, one by one word it is being given to this variable var, and it has print each word. It is separated with the space. It has separated with the space, and these many times it has the for loop has executed. Each line, each output, it is printed in the new line. What you have to understand from this example is, even in case of the list here, you can write the commands. That is a command substitution. This list, in this place, even you can write the command itself, but that command should be enclosed with the single quote. One more thing, it is not only uh, you have to use the commands. Even you can use the wildcards in the place of list. See here, the star.html, star.htm. What it indicates is, it will search in the file which starts with htm or html. From this file, it will give you this content. From this file, it will give you the content to this. Then any commands, any operation, another operations. You don't worry about this the content of this. What you have to understand is, in case of this list, even you can write the file names. Even you can write the file names. It is not only the commands, even you can write the file names. How we have written star.html means any file which is an ends with the file extension is stm, or any the file extension is html. It will give the content one by one to this file, and any operations you can do with that. Always this will be a normal variable. In three ways you can use the for loop, that is with the variables, inbuilt variables, any number of variables, just separated with the space, or you can write the command itself but within the back quotes, or you can use the wildcards itself. Wildcards we usually use with the file names. That is how you are going to use the for loops. One more thing, you have seen the command line arguments. Even you can use those command line arguments values $@ and $. Which includes all the values, that you can directly print it. See here, within the double quotes, I have included $@. That will give you all the values that we have passed in the command line. This is also a list, right, which contains all the values. $1, 2, 3, it contains each value separately, but the the at includes all the values in a single parameter. This will also give you one by one. And here what we have done is, the grep command we have used. Whether I have included that example? Yes. Clear sh for example 3.sh. Since I don't give a command line argument, now I'll give, okay, if I give now uh, the file, it will search everything. The file should contain the pattern. Now I'll create a new file. The file contains director, manager. The file name is uh, patrons. Patrons. The patrons contains some two patron. One is director, another one is manager. Now in the command line, we'll give patrons. See, it has given me the error patron, the patrons not found. It is not able to execute this one. The output, since it is not able, it has entered the for loop. This condition fails. That is why the or condition is there. That is why it has went to this echo pattern and dollar pattern which contains the name patrons. That patterns will be replaced with this variable and it is giving the not found. If I directly give director, whether it will be given, yes. See this director in that file. Which file? There is a file called employee.list. Here so many files. In each line where director is there, that value it is going to print. Director and sales. Sales. See, if there are chairmen, if there are director, chair, it will print the directors and also the chairman. See how actually it is working is, see here, this pattern what I have entered, which will be stored the director and the chairman in this variable dollar at. One by one it will be given to the pattern. grep director employee.list, it will search, it will give you the output. Next time this dollar at will give the chairman, grep chairman employee.list, it will give you the output. Now I'll give director chairman one more word which is not there. Officer. See, it has given me the output of the director, then the chairman. After that, patron officer not found. For the third case, it is not going to execute this. This is going to execute the second part. That is why echo patron that is not found. That is how the for loop works. The next part is in the path names. We know there are two types of addresses. One is relative address and is absolute address. See in this absolute path name, if I want to extract only this part, the file name, if I want to extract this file name, for that the Unix has given is the inbuilt function that is base name. We'll check now whether actually you can directly extract the file name. I'll clear the screen. Base name followed by the path. Some path, whether if that path is there, I don't know. I have given one absolute path dollar the home. Inside that there is a folder called user one. Inside that there is a file called test.pl. Directly this base name has extracted the file name. If I just give the file name itself, Directly it will give you the file names. Even though the 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 length is very big, inside the user one there is a folder called user2, inside that there is a folder called user3, but it knows how to get the last file. If the file extension is not there, it will directly get you the final value dot test. Here I have given two values. One is one absolute path name. With that, one more string I have added. See, it is able to get that file itself, not the last value. See, where actually it will be used is in order to rename the file, or in order to extract, the user has entered the file name, but it contains the complete path. In that case, if you want to extract the just the file name, in that case it will be very useful. This base name command, it is just to extract the base file name from the absolute path name. That is the meaning of this base name. It extracts that part. The next thing, or the next feature in the Unix that we are discussing is the set command and the shift command. This is a very beautiful statement. See, if you execute once the set statement, directly it will assign to the variables. Where actually this is useful is there is a very big number that you don't want to write multiple times in the program. It's very difficult to use that. Instead of that, you can directly use this positional parameters $123. See, like this, set 9980802578. One more number, 97409475998. One more number, 9686121555. This number I have multiple times in my program I have to use. Instead of you writing those numbers multiple times, if I just use the $1, it will get the first number, $2 second number, $3 third, $4 null value, dollar at all the values, dollar question mark 0, dollar hash, that will be the number of arguments count, that is 3. Say this, how beautiful this is set statement. If you use the set followed by the list of values, all those values will directly be assigned to the positional parameters $123, and all the values at a stretch will be assigned to the $at or dollar. The dollar hash, that will include the number of the count of the arguments, that is 3. That is the meaning of this set statement, directly set to the positional parameters. That will be easy in our program. And instead of dollar at, even you can use the dollar star. Even that includes all those three values that we have passed. Multiple times writing these values in a program, you can directly use $123. See, this is very similar to the echo state, the hash defined statements in the C program. In order to store the pi value, in order to store some constant, we use hash define some variable name after that value. That is very similar to this. One more is shift statements. See, in order to shift one left, we can use this. How? See here. Now this is the three numbers which I have executed, and I have able to see $1 contains this first number. Now I'll execute dollar. See now, since I have executed a command called shift. Now echo $1 is the second number. $2 is the third number. Already $3 is not there. If you shift one left, the three values, now it will be replaced with two values. The first value is gone. It is going to be deleted. If you shift once again, now if you check dollar at or as the star, see what it contains? It contains only the last value. It contains only the one value. For the first time when I have executed the set statement, there were three values. Now I have executed shift command once. Now you see the content, the two values are there. If I execute one more time shift, and if I check one value, if I execute one more time shift, if you check the dollar at, it is null. The shift left is nothing but if there are three values, you remove the first one. Shift once again, remove the first value which is there. That is how this works. Shift the arguments. See this set command followed by the option. Here you can write the commands itself. Even you can write the commands, those command output, that value that will be assigned to the positional parameters. But there is a problem with this set command. See here, control L, set within the backcode, I'll write ls-l some file name string hand dot sh. See, this is a command I have written. Even though it is a valid command, ls-l string hand dot sh, it is a valid command. It is giving you, it is an invalid option. For that case, for this problem, what the Unix has done is, if there are commands, then you have to use hyphen hyphen space on both the side. Then if you execute, that will not give you the error. And if you check the values, echo dollar star, what are the values being assigned? See, ls command, ls-l, which will give you the file permissions, all those entire details. The entire details it is going to give. Then you can see one by one, echo $1, first write permissions, $2, number of links, $3, the root, $4 also root, $5, the file size, $6, it will give you the date, the last modification date, the time, the last will be the file name. See this, I have splitted all the values you will get in a single variable called $. Set command that you have to use with the hyphen hyphen when if there is a command is there in the set. If there are commands in the set statements, you use with the hyphen, or else it will give an it will treat it as a wrong statement. It will treat it as a wrong statement. The next is this symbol. See this symbol, what you are seeing here, what actually this is not a redirection operator. What this symbol actually is going to do is, take example, there is an application called sending a mail. I want to send a mail to some person. That code that I have written in the shell script, the thing which I want to send to that person, that I have to give it from an external file, the content of that. Instead of the using the external file, if I want to do the execution faster, then what we'll do is, whenever I write the command in the shell script, I'll write this command called mailx to this person Kumar. I'll whatever the content which I want to send to that person, I'll write inside the delimiter called mark. I'll start the mark and I'll end after the my set of statements. I'll write whichever I want to send. Beginning of the message mark, at the, after the end of the string one more mark. This we'll call it as a delimiter. Within that we'll write whatever the string which I want to send. After the 3 lines of text, and with this symbol, less than symbol 2 times. What actually this do is, instead of getting from the external file, this set of string will be directly given as an input to this command, and it is going to execute. What we have avoided here is giving the input from the external file, and what it helps is the execution will be faster. If you use the external file, once again it takes some time. This arrow mark, it indicates the content what we write, that will be as an input to this command. That is the meaning of this. This why the name they have given is ER document is, the input is very near. If you don't write here, then the other option is you have to give it from an external file. The text what we want to send, that where it starts, where it ends, that will be indicated by this delimiters, mark and mark. This is a keyword that you cannot change. The last command in this chapter is the trap command. See, the trap command is, the trap statement is, we actually know about these interrupts that you have learned in the C language. The interrupts is, it's a signal. The interrupt is, it's a signal due to some abnormal conditions or any other case, the interrupt has been raised. When the interrupt key is pressed, or else forcibly assume that a signal is sent, the interrupt key is pressed. Now what happens in that case? The shell script will terminate. During the program execution, I want forcibly I have stopped the execution. Whenever I stop, the shell script will terminate. But what happens is, so many temporary files will be created and that will be stored in the disk. It will consume the space. That is why it is not a good practice to directly terminate the shell script. What is the scenario is, forcibly you have stopped the execution of the shell script. In that case, in the background, what happens is the shell script will terminate, but it will create lot of temporary files. that will consume a space and that is of no use. In that case, what we'll do is we'll include some one extra statement that is called as a trap statement in the script. What that command will do is during the normal execution, the trap statement will not going to execute. But whenever it sees the signal, whenever it receives the signal, there are different types of signals are there. If whenever it receives the signal, this is what the syntax: trap, command list, followed by signal list. This line extra you have to add it in the shell script. Whenever it receives the proper signal, then the trap command will execute this command list. What we are going to do is, what we write here is, what is the problem? The problem is temporary files. Remove those temporary files. RM command followed by a dollar dollar or any the meta characters. Here you have to write the set of signals. Which type of signals, when it receives, what the commands it has to execute. Based on the signal, you have to execute the command. Here is one example, the trap command: remove the files which starts with the dollar. This dollar, this star mark, this indicates remove those all those temporary files. After that, what it should do, echo, it should end the, it should print the message called program is interrupted, then exit. See, this is what the one entire command, the type of the signal which has received is this HUP int term. Whenever it receives this type of signal, this is the set of commands it has to execute. One is remove command, echo command, after that exit. 3 commands it will execute. In a single line, if you want to say what is this trap is, the trap is a signal handler. It catches the type of a signals and it will execute the set of commands. If you use these trap statements, finally what happens is you can stop saving those temporary files. That is the advantage. Trap statements, it will handle these temporary files like this. Thank you. That is the end of this module 2. In the next class, we'll start the module 3, which is the system programming. Till now, what we have discussed, it is the Unix shell programming. The next we'll discuss the system programming. Thank you.